for inviting me. We've had some very interesting conversations, so I was very excited when I got the invite here. Um, yeah, I work with a company called Spot On Productions. We develop marketing and training videos. We do a lot of industrial clients, work with industrial clients, construction clients, some healthcare. Um, Interesting times right now. Our typical business model, we've been around for 20 years, is to go on location and videotape. We do interviews. We do a lot of live video. We do some animation, but we typically do a lot of live video. So that's changed. A lot of that has changed over the last 6 or 7 weeks here. We actually were on a shoot yesterday very safely, but we're basically having to shift to a lot of remote video production. So I love the conversations I've had with Doug and with some other folks where we're looking for new solutions for our clients to kind of help them where they're at. We've had a lot of live events get canceled. We now have folks sitting at home with their kids, overwhelmed with homeschooling. I've got 2 kids myself. I know what that's like. So, that's our audience right now. So as a video company, we've had to pivot and come up with new solutions like what we're going to talk about today, one of which with Doug. But how do we help those folks? How do we help people at home in a new way? So that's what we've been doing the last few weeks, and we've been getting some traction. We've been approaching it from a how can we help perspective, and it's been interesting.
So just out of curiosity on your remote productions, so we've got a comment that sounds like it's really challenging. So what are the challenges you guys are facing, and how are you overcoming them?
Well, yeah, it has been interesting. I think it's a different mindset. Typically, like, we work with a lot of schools. We're on retainer with Lakota schools, Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, working with. And a lot of these schools, especially the private schools, can't do open houses now. This is open house season. So we got a call a few weeks ago from a private school, Cincinnati Hills Christian, saying, "Hey, we can't do we can't do open houses. What can you do? We have some photos, we have some existing video that we've done in the past. So we're packaging those up and with graphics and with the right scripting, and that's the key, is having powerful scripting." Packaging those up into some compelling campus tours, if you will, virtual campus tours. So we're working right now with Cincinnati public schools. Again, I mentioned something about all the parents at home. We're all challenged right now. I got a 6 and a 3-year-old. We're very challenged right now on how to handle these kids, our kids. Side note, teachers should be paid more, by the way. Big respect for teachers. But they approached us to put together some video remotely to help parents at home. So we kind of pivoted, and we're helping them on the front end, on the back end. We're coaching them. We're writing scripts. They're shooting the video with equipment that we're kind of coaching them on how to shoot it. We're actually Zoom calling in while they're shooting it. So we're virtually there, but very safely. And then in post-production, we're putting the videos together. We're doing all the graphics. We're taking the audio. We're putting all the clips together into a cohesive video. So that's how we're pivoting right now. And it's, again, there's a huge need out there. I think, Doug, you and I were talking before the call here, business is being done differently right now. So I think if we come up with creative solutions, people are open to it. They need help.
So that's interesting. So, and my kids went to a private school here in town as well. So I do understand how important just being able to get on campus. And I'll just as the actual, when my son was touring, we toured like St. X, Moeller, and they all have this spiel that they go through while they're touring. Well, he chose to go to Summit Country Day, and it was the head of the school there. It was the greatest presentation ever. As we're walking down the hall, and it's this old school building. He's walking down the hall, and he's saying, Moeller has their huge gymnasium. They can show that off, and St. X has their football field, and it's just amazing. And as he's saying this, he's reaching for these double doors. He goes, but here at Summit, we don't really have anything. And he's pushing the doors open, and it opens up to this chapel that's like 100 years old. It's like a small version of the Sistine Chapel. Wow. And you just like, and it just
Wow.
blows you away. So it's that important, that physical connection is that important. And it sounds like you guys are doing a solid job of replicating that with video and so far just video, but I think there's some other opportunities to take it the next step further, which is probably what we're going to dive into next and start chatting about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say the video is just a platform like anything, only because people are sitting at home right now. Social media, if anyone's read up on the numbers, I mean, everyone's sitting at home in front of their laptop right now. They have time. There's this collective pause where we have time now. Yeah. And if we reach out to them with something that's compelling and entertaining, they're going to watch it.
Yeah, and I'd actually love the folks who are listening and participating. What experiences do you have using video in your organizations? If you're not using video, have you considered using video? And give us some input on that. I'd love to, while we've got Daron's time, to get your questions answered on that. But so you mentioned video is really just it's a mechanism, mm-hmm. It's a platform. So how do you make the video come to life? And I think a few weeks ago, you and I just having conversation, this is where collaboration comes into play, because I just was sitting here on a Friday afternoon and I was kind of getting at that where the stress starts building up in me. Like, I haven't moved the needle. Nothing's happening. Everyone's locked up. And I did not want to go into the weekend without having something positive on my mind. So I just pulled out my list of folks and I started calling them. And I talked to Daron, and we started just talking about different things he was working on. So I'm gonna have you start where you were talking with your client, and then I'll pick up where the light went on for me.
Okay. Are you talking about the nonprofit that we work?
Actually, let's touch on the nonprofit first, okay, and then we'll switch to the trade show.
Fair enough. Well, again, just another example. I love the successes right now because everybody's there's a lot of stress out there. There's a lot of people looking for answers. We were called 4 weeks ago by one of our clients that we've worked with traditionally in the past. It's a nonprofit, Family Promise. They help homeless families stay together. Folks going through challenges. They traditionally had worked in churches to house families, keep them together, give them a 90-day leg up, a reset, if you will. And with COVID, obviously, with the social distancing that we've been having to deal with, they haven't been able to have access to churches. So they reached out to us. They needed money. They needed immediate help to help the families that they're working with and they're supporting. They wanted to put together a donor video. We're like, great. We can't come videotape you. There's obviously this shelter in place. And so we looked at options and we put together a video in 4 days. We wrote the script. We used stock footage, graphics, put together a video that was compelling, that they pushed out nationally. And in the first 24 hours, with the right tone, with the right script, with the right feel, that emotional feeling, it raised $200,000 in the first 24 hours. I love that. Again, it's not how we typically would have approached it, but it worked. At the end of the day, it tugged on the heartstrings. It got their message across, and it was successful.
So in 24 hours, they raised $200,000. Do you have any like comparison to what maybe like another, like what would they have typically have done? Would they have actually had a live fundraiser?
We typically would have gone out. We've done some videos with them in the past. Family Promise is a national organization. Each local chapter, like Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, we've done videos with the local, and then nationally, what they do as an organization. We've used animation, and we've used live footage, live interviews with some of the folks that have been impacted. Now, obviously, we weren't able to do that because stories are what in my opinion, and again, how we approach typical videos, stories are how people connect with an organization. Stories are great, whether it's testimonials or overviews or whatever. Ultimately, a story, a compelling story. we weren't able to do a live video. So we looked at ways to still tell a story with stock footage, with a voiceover, and with dramatic footage, with the right footage to capture the message. And writing the script, that it all started with the script. It all started with the right message.
Excellent. So, as we're moving forward, and I'm kind of still thinking about the schools a little bit. If the schools don't open in the fall, I mean, they're closed for the rest of the year. What are they going to do? I mean, it's an opportunity to apply video, and because I realize that you can use Zoom, and that's great, but staring at a screen for 6, 7, 8 hours, that doesn't work very well. We tend to zone out pretty quickly. Is there any idea about how to use video to engage and interact with the student base or parents or faculty?
Yeah. I mean, the answer is yes. I think the magic recipe is in the creative front end. We always like to say that if you spend your time, 30-40% of your time and resources on the front end, the video comes together real easily on the back end. But coming up with that nugget, that idea, we did some internal training videos for Cincinnati Public Schools last year that were pretty, I mean, I'll be honest, pretty dry material. It was, but came up with a theme. Like we came up with a sports theme, and we actually ran with it. We had one of the teachers in front of a green screen, almost like the Madden, the football Madden, where they're doing the X's and the O's on the green screen. And we shot some video footage with some really cool graphics. It was a 15-minute video. If it wasn't interesting, people would have zoned out after minute 2. But I think if you can do training videos fun, you can have some fun with them. And watching the video at the end of the day, it was about how to deal with kids, teaching teachers how to deal with kids in behavioral issues. And it was a fun video. It was pretty dry material though. So,
well, it seems like that could be that could be applied in a lot of different circumstances. Is what I might take away on.
Yeah, you could definitely do it. I mean, when things happen in the fall, I don't know. I don't know how things are going to change. But they're definitely going to change. They're talking about, I think, mixed learning or some kind of blended learning in the fall.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing as well. I know I've got a daughter that's supposed to go to Chicago to go to college, and I don't even know if it's going to be open. So,
Right.
we don't know. It's interesting. So let's jump into the other. So when we were talking, and that was, like I said, a Friday afternoon, and I'm kind of feeling the stress of the week ending, and we're just having a good conversation. And you mentioned that you were doing an engagement with one of your clients, a trade show exhibit maker and designer and all that, and trying to bring a actual physical. So if anybody doesn't know, trade shows have been canceled probably for the rest of the year. The big ones in September are now shutting down, so it's probably just not going to happen. These companies have, I don't know what their budgets are for trade shows, but it's in the millions. So and all that money's been a lot of that money's been spent, and they've got exhibits. So anyway, tell us about your engagement with your client and what you guys were trying to accomplish.
That's probably where we're getting a lot of traction right now is ideas like this, virtual trade show. So we had a client of ours, a friend of mine actually, who's in the trade show business. They develop trade show booths. They house them. They work with Procter & Gamble and some big brands. I knew Carla for a while, and she just reached out saying, "Hey, got an idea for you." I'm like, "Great, let's talk." A virtual trade show. So she has all these clients. Most traditionally, she's built trade show booths for her clients, and then they go off to the live events, and then she houses them afterward. It's a big business. Obviously, with live events kind of shifting, possibly not happening this year, she wanted to approach her clients with something new. She wanted to use video, and we've known each other for a while, and we share some clients. She talked about maybe us coming out when it's safe, maybe in May, something like that, doing it remotely and safely with proper social distancing, staging a trade show, a virtual trade show where we would videotape it as if we were at a trade show. She'd hang the drapes. She'd, put the booth up. She'd we'd actually have folks coming and going, so it looks and feels in the video as if you're in a trade show. And she's had a lot of clients who are very interested in something like that to supplement the lack of live events. Obviously, pushing that video content out then through traditional social media channels. Doug, I'll let you touch on the other idea, but just basically having content that people want to watch and share and engage with a brand. And then Doug and I started talking about something new too. So
yeah. So as Daron was explaining this to me, and if you imagine, I'm sitting in my office on a Friday afternoon and I'm not feeling very good. I'm not in a good mood because, I feel like I'm losing. The world's just going to, heck in a handbasket. But he's telling me this idea and the light just went on inside my head. So Udemy has a platform for its communication platform. We call it Reach, that we can blast out text messaging. We can share video content, all kinds of content, PDFs, pictures, whatever. You set up surveys and then live chat rooms. So I shared this with Daron, and I think our minds kind of came together. We said, okay, wait a minute, we're on to something here. So and this kind of gets back to, what happens when you collaborate. Sometimes you create something. I mean, I just called looking for someone to talk to, and before the conversation ended, we had an idea. And then we kind of massaged the idea over the weekend, and we presented it just as a high level. Daron did back to his client, and then we followed up and have had subsequent conversations, and even more ideas have come to the forefront. So this thing's starting to grow and develop. And so just through collaboration, a video production company and us, a tech firm, we were able to actually come up with an idea that could potentially, I don't want to say save because that's too dramatic, but majorly assist a business, a physical trade. They design and build exhibits. They ship them to exhibit halls all over the world for trade shows. Okay, that industry's dead right now. So that business, there's not much going on, if anything. We actually may have created an idea that could save that customer's business. And it's kind of that simple.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting. So I think the learning that I wanted everyone to take away today is that if you collaborate and think outside the box, too cliche, sorry. If you collaborate with one another and really just share what you're doing and what your pain points are and what your problems are, there's ideas there and that you can come together. And I think, the things that we're starting to talk about with the trade show producer, the exhibit producer, is that this isn't a one-time thing. Like when the trade shows come back to life, this probably doesn't go away because we've already identified the value here is that you can extend and repurpose all the content you have. So just so everybody knows, when they build a booth, but when they create an exhibit, it gets built on their facility at least once every year. So these mega booths like the General Motors or a Procter & Gamble, they got these $50,000 exhibits. Those get put together at least one time every year because they've got to check and make sure everything's working, it's not broken. That's a great time for Daron's team to come in and create all the content that could last for an entire year. So you get to repurpose and extend your content. You can then start to reach audiences that you couldn't reach before. Not everybody goes to every show. So if you're able to text your content directly to their phone, you've got a 94% chance of connecting with them. And that's just a huge differentiator. And then, really using that same idea, that same platform, like before the show, during the show, and then post event to actually create more engagement. So these ideas, just keep flowing and they just keep coming. And it all gets back from just collaborating. People who really have no business talking to each other, we got together and we started collaborating and we've come up with an idea. So, I'd love to hear, folks that are listening, if you've got challenges or struggles, throw them in the chat. We've got a few minutes left. We can, probably jump into them a little bit. So any additional thoughts on that, Daron?
Yeah, there's a lot of technology. This downtime for me has been a learning experience as well, because there's a lot of technology like Zoom, like online virtual conferencing, having conversations with you, Doug, and others, where it's given me an opportunity to reflect and look for ideas. It's kind of forced us into some, looking at things differently. To your point, you could use text as a lead generation opportunity to build up towards a virtual event, like a live streaming event or a Zoom event. I've seen that done pretty successfully a couple of weeks ago. It's just a matter of, like, again, using the tools, putting them together in the right way, and it's very cost effective too. That's the other thing that I think is very, very important, because a lot of the CMOs out there, I've been on a lot of CMO calls recently. Globally, there's a lot of folks that are saying live events, we're just going to kind of hunker down and shift those dollars towards digital. In reality, again, you're missing out on that human-to-human connection. So this is another way for you to still have that human-to-human connection in a new way, by just putting pieces together that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, how wonderful would it be? So part of our, we did a simulation for Daron's client, where we actually simulated a trade show, or a virtual trade show, where we used one of Daron's clients. We sent a video via text. People came in, they entered a chat room, a live chat room. So just imagine this: your team is there. It could be your customers or prospects or students even, and you've got a live chat going on with the experts, and then you can send them back, collateral, maybe video or picture, or even send them a quick link and do a Zoom chat, if it's time for that. So there's a lot of things that you can do just, by just, kind of thinking, stretching your boundaries and imagining things in a different way.
Well, and Doug,
innovation and creation.
You had mentioned something about the numbers. In your experience, again, getting a text to me, I'm going to open it, right? An email might get buried.
Yeah.
If you send a text, in your experience, you were saying, how many touches does it take to get, for a typical person, to feel comfortable setting up a call?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's 5 texts back and forth to set up a call on average. And the ultimate goal is you want to set a meeting. That's with anything, whether it's a parent, a student, whether it's a manufacturer, whether it's a sales rep, whatever you got to get that meeting. And in 5 text messages, if you can get a meeting, if you've got the right content, video content or photo, whatever, and you're delivering it in a mechanism where people will actually engage with it, email, I just purged over 1,000 emails this weekend because I just can't. There's no way I'm going back. But text messages, they always get answered. It's like 94% get answered in the first 3 minutes, and almost all of them actually get open. So it's a huge differentiator.
Yeah, and from a video perspective,
I'm just reading one of the comments.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm just reading the comments so I can formulate this.
I was going to say my background's in working with agencies. So from a video perspective, I always counsel our clients, once you have content, you can repurpose it. You can cut it into different things. I can envision using a website, having a splash page. You have your long form 2-minute version. That might be a product demo or some kind of an overview. You maybe have a teaser. You cut a 15-second teaser that you push out through social media. And then you can certainly use 15 to 30 second through Udemy's text platform. So just hitting all those channels. Once you have the footage, that's the biggest expense. Once you have it, recutting it is very cost effective. And looking at your numbers and our numbers, just some of the proposals we've already put out, it's a fraction of a live event, a fraction of the cost, which is to me, that's where people are. People are looking for low risk opportunities right now. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the beauty of it is, because it's all repurposable. Is that a word? Reusable?
It is now.
It is now. Yeah. I said it on the internet. It has to exist. You build all this content, and then you use it throughout the year. Like you said, you cut and slice and dice, and you can reuse it over and over, and your cost isn't going up. It's staying the same. So you're actually getting much more mileage out of your dollar spent. So it's interesting. Where this goes next, I think it's going to go beyond trade shows. You talked about your the charity, I forget what it was called, the Family Promise.
Family Promise, nonprofits. Yep.
imagine if nonprofits started doing live, like virtual live events. So they send out a video and it opens up a chat. You know, they invite people to this event. They have this chat room, and they raised $200,000 in one day just posting it to their website. How much could they do if they had a series of live events?
Yeah,
it boggles the mind. So
well, we have I have a personal connection to Alzheimer's Association, and a lot of the live events that nonprofits do, like the Alzheimer's walks or things like that, they're going to have to come up with new solutions. I mean, at the end of the day,
yeah.
the donor pool is finite, and now we're going to have to. I think a lot of us are just going to have to shift and think of new ways to do business. So
I agree with you.
This is a solution that will make sense to, I think, different people.
Yeah, and I hope, I know we're at the bottom of the hour, and I promised 30 minutes and we'd be out. I hope that this was useful information. I find what you guys do to be fascinating. I love the whole concept of video, and you know, I've watched so many of your guys' videos. It just brings everything to life, and I think being able to deliver it directly to the end user, that's a game changer. And then have that end user then engage live with the expert or experts in a chat, and then maybe, you know, if it makes sense, switch it over to a Zoom call or you know, schedule a follow-up call. To me, that takes this whole video and brings the whole thing to life, and it connects the physical world to the virtual world, and that's really what we're talking about.
Without a doubt. I know it's 10:30, but I just got to give you a shout out as well, Doug, because I've been inspired by your excitement and passion about putting this together as well. So it's you know, it's cool. This is a lot of fun having these collaborative conversations, because I think it's definitely leading to new business opportunities. But at the end of the day, we're helping people, so it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm ultimately, at the end of the day, you're exactly right. We are trying to figure out how to help people, and that's what we got to do: work together and help each other. So,
absolutely.
Well, this was an enjoyable conversation as always. I hope everyone else enjoyed it and learned something. And feel free to, I mean, if you want to reach back out to me, it's doug@ulimidoes.com. Daron, if you want to give your credentials or your information, feel free to do so. And
absolutely, I'll put it in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free. I want to be a resource for folks, whether it's a paid project or just ideas. I love to ideate. We all have time, and I think that's where ideas come from. It's just, you got to spend the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I encourage anybody, even if you just need to, like the Friday afternoon kind of, I needed to vent a little bit to Daron, and then we came up with an idea. If you need that, by all means, reach out to me and do it, because we just never know where it's going to go. Maybe it won't go anywhere with me, but maybe I'll know somebody that I can connect you to, and the dots will come on. I mean, the light went on for me with Daron, so hopefully I can help you guys. We can help you guys. The light go on for you, wherever that road may take you. So
absolutely.
So I think that's breaking through the noise for this week. Daron, thank you so very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I think this was a good conversation. And I'd like to thank everybody else for joining us. And we'll be back here next Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'm working on a guest right now. I had one, and now it's sort of up in the air. So I'm going to be working on that this afternoon. So hopefully I can put that announcement out here later today. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody.
Have a great day. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Take care.